Okay, so we'll start lying on our back as we often do. Just lying flat on your back and getting comfortable, whatever you need to be comfortable lying flat on your back, whether it's pillows, whatever. If you're in a cold place, maybe a blanket so that you are not distracted by the cold. And also just having nearby your journal and your pen so that we don't have to scramble looking for it later on. Oh, and as we drop onto our mats, I would just like to express my gratitude for having the floor, for having this practice, for creating the time to prioritize my mental and physical well-being, and especially grateful to get to do it knowing that there's other people on the other side of the screen in this case, or in community, right? Whether or not you're actually here, all of the probably thousands of people at this point that we've gotten to move with and that we know we're moving, right? Millions, even if we don't know them personally, but how powerful it is when so many people, the collective consciousness drops in to really just connect with themselves. And so as we come to lying, you can separate your legs a comfortable distance apart, get all of the fidgeting out to get just still for a few moments. Just gently closing the eyes if they're not already closed. And we'll take a slower and fuller deep breath. And as we exhale, we can release a gentle sigh. And begin to soften our face and our jaw, knowing that in this moment, everything is done. In this moment, we don't have anywhere to go, anything to do. And as we release our breath, we release the weight of our body, and we allow ourselves to simply allow, observe, setting our intention to receive. And so one of the sides or characteristics of being in a state of gratitude is just that, is being open to receive. That idea of the more I'm grateful, the more life will give me things to be grateful for. And that is very, very real. So we can choose how we direct our attention, how we evolve in this life. And of course, you might say, well, there's things that I don't like, things that I don't want. How could I be grateful for those? And that's really where our work lies. How do we find the gratitude? And oftentimes the challenge is when I want something to be different than what it is. And so we can take that approach towards our body and simply accept and feel gratitude, even for the discomfort, right? For the fact that our body gives us signals that it's guiding us, that it's showing us the way. So when we make space for ourselves, we also make space for all of the things that surround us. And we understand that the best thing we can do is to find a space of gratitude and to offer love and to see and know that everything is healing, everything is repairing, everything is moving towards a center. which is basically alignment. So we'll take a moment and find our own personal center from the crown of our head, and you can always take your fingers to feel around where the crown of your head is, the tip of your nose, your chin, feeling the center of your throat, traveling down through your breastbone, your navel center, your pubic bone. For a moment, appreciating the central axis that runs through your trunk. And as you inhale slowly, observing what areas do you feel expand around that center. And as you exhale, releasing your shoulders and feeling the weight of your pelvis. Noticing that everything else has meaning as far as it relates to the center. We'll take a moment and allow our minds to drop into our bodies, to drop down into our heart space and the center of our chest. Just notice, what does your center feel like right now? Is it clear? Is it vague? Releasing any tendency or habit of labeling it as good or bad. And if you notice that your mind goes there, that's fine. That's the nature of the mind. That's what we've been trained to do. We just notice it, release it, and then just observe. What does it feel beyond good and bad? What do I see? And on one of the following inhales, you'll gently slide your arms up and over your head. And we'll just take a moment to have a long, yawning stretch, reaching through our fingers and through our toes. And then as we're ready, reaching our fingertips up towards the sky, up over the body and down at the sides. And then again, reaching the fingertips back up towards the sky and overhead. And we're just going to let our arms, as if they're moving like feathers floating in the wind, very gently and smoothly, float down at our sides and then floating back up and over our head. Take your time to notice how you're moving through that center. And how the movement of your arms relates to your upper back, to your neck, to the back of your head. And if you can't really perceive things, that's just an indicator to slow down a bit more. Noticing your breath. How many breaths does it take to get the arms to move in one direction? Knowing there's no right or wrong answer, you're simply observing what is. Relax your jaw, relax your eye sockets. And the next time that the arms come overhead, just pause there for a moment. And as you're ready, keeping your fingertips as close to the floor as it feels comfortable, reach the arms out to the sides, gently sliding them over the earth, drawing now a bigger circle. The arms coming back up and over the head. And then circling out to the sides. Take your time. Notice the balance between the right and the left sides. If there were a mirror, right? Are we moving as if there were a mirror between the sides? Does one arm move faster than the other? What do we have to do? And oftentimes just noticing if there's balance and timing will automatically cue the nervous system to find more balance. Whenever you feel ready in your circle, reverse the direction with the same idea, with the same intention. And as you keep moving and breathing and observing, ask yourself if you can use less effort. Are there parts of you, maybe your eyebrows, maybe your glutes or your abdomen and thighs? What areas of your body might be able to release a little more tension as you keep the circles moving? Again, the arms moving as if they wanted to imitate feathers floating in the wind. The next time that you feel ready and you're moving through that T space, the wide arm, open chest position, you'll pause there, take your time to get there. And once you're there, release your arms, neck and shoulders, and you'll know that you're in a good spot because you're able to release. And if you're not sure, then fidget around, look for a different option. Exhaling, you'll bend one knee at a time, bringing the feet to stand on the mat. And just tune in to your 10 toes, the balls of your feet and your heels. Feel free to settle, lift and lower your hips, whatever you feel you need to be more comfortable and settled on the mat. Then spread your toes apart, really feeling into your toes. And we're going to thank our toes. Without our toes, we wouldn't be able to walk, especially that big toe, the second toe. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to have locomotion. We wouldn't be able to propel ourselves through space the way that we do. We'll keep our toes on the mat, and we're just going to lift our heels off of the mat, raising the heels up and then slowly lowering the heels down. We're just going to lift and lower our heels now. Again, smoothly and gently, and it's quite common to feel a little bit of a shake when you're slowly lifting your heels up and down this way. And just observe. As you slowly move through your ankles, you're also moving through your metatarsal, a cluster of joints where your toes connect with the balls of your feet. Does the weight or the movement tend to roll out towards the pinky sides of the feet or not? Does it start to create sensation in your knees? It might. And that's okay. You know it's going to change. And now a little more deliberately, the next time that your heels come down, guide your knees towards each other as you lift your heels. Keep your heels off the mat, rolling out towards the pinky sides of your feet, and then lower the heels back down. So you end up coming down on the outer edges of your feet, more or less. Bring your knees back together in the center. Lift your heels up. With the heels up, roll the knees out. So we're just drawing a little bit of a circle, moving through the metatarsal this way, starting to bring the movement from the toes through the heels and ankles and into our hips. And you can use the floor to help spread your toes apart. So when your heels come back down to the mat, you might want to reset if the toes tend to come together, where we just kind of spread them place them back down on the mat. And it might feel light and vague, and all of that is fine. And when you feel ready, reverse your circle. So the knees will move slightly away from each other, and then you'll lift your heels up. And just exploring, you really can't get it wrong. Just playing with the ankles and the toes. And we'll just do this 1 or 2 more times. And the next time that your heels come down on the mat, go ahead and keep them there. Pause for a moment. And then we'll walk our feet a little wider apart. And just notice that you still feel softness and ease through your hips and lower back. Whenever you start to feel something in your joints, it's your body telling you you went a little too far. You want to bring it back a little bit more so that our protection system in our nervous system doesn't turn on. And as you're ready, you'll start to rock your knees in a very small motion from side to side. We're going to build up on it. Just starting to feel the rocking happening through the back of the pelvis. Feeling like you're able to keep dropping back into gravity. And as you repeat the rocking motion, let it start to grow. So you end up traveling a little further on the back of your hips, moving towards your outer hips maybe. Perhaps sensing a little more sensation through the waist. And again, the sensation might just be an awareness of movement, of I'm closer to the floor, now I'm farther from the floor. Allowing ourselves to continue to develop our ability to sense the subtleties. Something subtle can be very obvious if I've trained my point of perception. Sometimes my point of perception is trained to feel it when it's very extreme and very intense. So allow yourself in this moment to just observe the subtlety. How does it maybe travel up to the back of your head? And eventually, if it feels comfortable, you can let your knees go as far over to the side. And notice the breath as you bring them back up to center. Just starting to let the movement travel up farther. Be mindful that your feet stay heavy. They're still wide apart. And the next time that your knees drop over to the side, pause there for a moment, keeping the knees falling over to the side, and just breathe. If it feels like it creates pressure in any of your joints or discomfort, then again, come back a little bit away from that edge. Take one more breath wherever you are. And on your following exhale, guide your legs back up through center and over to the other side. And again, explore how far they go. If you were to just release and let go there, does it feel safe? Does it feel appropriate? What happens when you stay there and take a slow and full breath? Then on the following exhale, you'll guide your legs back up and through the center. Bring the hands to the knees and the knees to the chest. Giving yourself a squeeze there, feeling your lower back now pressing down towards the mat. Separate the knees about shoulder width apart or even wider and start to rock from side to side. As you're rocking from side to side, be mindful of letting your shoulders and your head keep dropping back. And sometimes if you're pulling your knees in really tight, you can't really let the back of your head release. So you might have to move the knees further away from your body to feel that ease through the back of your head and neck. So explore that, find the place and the angle that feels best for you. And keeping our hands on our kneecaps so that our legs feel supported by our arms, and it might be hands behind the kneecaps. Again, none of it is that literal, and it's only meaningful when it makes sense for you and your system. So make it your own. Be curious. A curious mind is one of the prerequisites for a grateful heart. I'm convinced of that, right? Because it's the mind that thinks that it knows the way that it should be that struggles with gratitude. It's the mind that says, well, what if that is the best? What if that is the way it has to be because that's the way it is? What if it's not up to me to judge? And that just feels a lot lighter. We're going to turn this movement into a circle, drawing the knees in and around and just kind of stirring the pot, stirring the low back, exploring what it feels like. What if your circle gets a little bigger? Knowing that you can't fall off the floor. So you can release any unconscious need to be staying in a certain space. If it feels like you go so far, you just roll onto your side, then you roll back. Let it happen. And whenever you feel ready, explore the opposite direction. And if your circle tends to be really big and has been big, then start making it a little smaller. Exploring what it's like, right? It's like we end up giving ourselves a massage. And the next time that you come back to center, you'll hug your knees into your chest. Now we're just going to gently roll our chin over to one shoulder. Come back to center and then roll the chin over towards the other shoulder. Be gentle with yourself, move slowly and breathe. Relax your jaw. Keep letting your head feel really heavy. We are decompressing our spine simply by laying on the floor. And then as we roll the head to one side, we are lubricating the area of the jaw where the skull sits on the spine. It's a very gentle way to refresh the senses that sit in our head, our sight, our hearing, our smell, our taste. And the next time that our head falls in the center, we're going to pause there, bring both hands either on or behind the right knee, and bring the left foot down to the mat. And if your spine feels pretty comfortable here, lengthen your left leg all the way out. And we're just going to take 3 slow and full breaths in this shape. And as long as it doesn't feel pinchy, like sharp in your right hip, gently pull the right knee towards your chest when you exhale, as if the knee getting pulled into the chest helps push the air out, which it does. And then when you let the air in, let the knee move away from the chest a little bit. We'll just do that one more time. And then you'll keep your right knee in towards your chest and reach your left arm up and over your head. You can place your right elbow, the hand that's on the knee, that elbow can rest out towards the mat so that the right knee ends up resting in the right hand. It almost becomes like a kickstand for the right knee. We're just going to take a long yawning stretch out of our left side. You can look down at your right knee and breathe into your left ribs. Guide your breath up towards your left armpit, to the left side of your neck. And then as you exhale, sweep your left arm back down and onto the right knee as well. Both hands on the right knee one last time. Gently pulling the knee into the chest one last time. Does it feel any different? And then lengthen your right leg all the way out for a moment. And just pause for a moment and notice what do you perceive? Is one side longer? Is one leg longer? How do you perceive the floor? Does one side of the body touch the mat more than the other? And then as you're ready, exhale, float one knee and then the other, bringing both knees back into the chest. We're going to keep our knees close to our chest and roll onto our left side before we do the other side. We're going to go into book opening. So get long on your left side. You can use your left arm as a pillow, and if that's not comfortable for your shoulder, roll up your mat or just grab a pillow. The key is to feel good. And then we'll reach the right fingertips out on the mat in front of us. And keeping the right hand on the mat, again, depends on the shoulder, right? The shoulder lets you know if you're in a good spot. Trace a circle with your fingertips along the mat, up and over your head. You'll notice as your arm comes next to your head, you'll start turning towards the sky, reaching the right arm back behind you, and it probably will come away from the floor, and then circling the arm down towards your back, down towards your hips, and over your top thigh to bring you back onto your left side, and continuing with this circle. So it's like book opening on one of those revolving doors today, circling the right arm around, just again, building on what we did initially. The vibration of gratitude is linked to the toroid. Yeah, we have a toroid, is like basically the anatomical structure of an atom, of electromagnetic center with like a geyser of energy that circles out and around it. And so on either side of our heart area, which is the part of our body that has the greatest potential for emitting energy, literally electricity, we've got our shoulder blades on our musculoskeletal system, and they move like wheels. And so when we access and we open up more movement of our chest, we're increasing the circulation, the movement of lymph, all the internal fluids. So that physically, we're letting go of the things we might be carrying on our shoulders. And the more that we let go of that feeling of responsibility of having to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, the more we open ourselves up to lighter, faster frequencies like love, like joy. When you feel ready in the movement, reverse the direction of your circle. It can happen anywhere. Let your sensations guide you. And if you catch yourself doing, where you're just kind of there repetitively doing something, pause, stop, literally, let go, breathe and feel, and then carry on. And we'll move around in this circular motion one more time. And then you'll find an angle in your circle that feels inviting, that feels good. It might be with your arm in front of you and your face turned towards the floor. It might be with your arm relatively behind you and your face turned towards the sky. Find an angle that feels inviting for you, and then pause there. And explore taking 3 the longest breaths of the day so far. And as you exhale, observing what parts of my physical self are willing to let go a little further. And if I see that I'm in a place where I actually can't let go, I'm going to change the angle. I'm going to change the place that I'm resting in so that every time I exhale, I find the greater next level of release. Might be releasing my eyes, around my neck and my shoulders, around my thighs. Where do I feel I let go? And on one of your following breaths, you'll stretch through your top arm and leg all the way out and let that flip you back onto your back. Just lying flat for a moment again on your back and pausing to notice now. Palms can turn open towards the sky. How does the back of the body relate to the floor? How does the right side compare to the left? And on your following inhale, reach your arms back up and over your head, taking another long, yawning stretch through your fingers and your toes, and then sweeping the arms back down, floating the knees back into the chest, squeezing them in. And this time we're going to place our right foot down on the mat, lengthen the right leg all the way out, placing both hands on or behind the left knee. And again, as you inhale, you can allow the knee to move into your hands. Feel that you make space for the breath. And as you exhale, you can pull the knee in only as far as it feels like you have smooth texture. If it feels sharp, then change the angle. Go somewhere else. Don't push. We'll just do that one more time. And the next time that you bring your left knee in, you'll pause. Let the left elbow now rest on the mat with the left knee resting into the left hand. So you find a way there. And sometimes it's might pull some of your body over to the left a bit more. As long as it feels safe, that's fine. Reach the right arm up and over your head and take a long yawning stretch out of your right side now. The right toes and the right fingertips reaching away. We can turn the head to look at the left knee or look down at the left shoulder and breathe. Sensing how the right side of the body might expand and lengthen as we breathe. Just hold it there for one more breath. And then as you feel it's time, you'll sweep the arm back down, bringing both hands back to the left knee, pulling the left knee into the chest one last time. Exhaling to bring both knees back into the chest now. And again, rocking from side to side. This time we're going to rock onto our right side, coming to lie comfortably on the right side, making a pillow for yourself or literally grabbing one. Getting settled into the side lying position where you feel like you can cradle and embrace yourself. And then when you feel ready, your left fingertips will slide out in front of you, keeping the left fingertips relatively close to the mat or on the mat. Draw a circle over your head, circling the arm behind you, and it'll probably move away from the floor. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. Again, honor what you feel. Circle the arm down along the outer top thigh and then forward again. and just observe. You can start observing by the fingertips, the really obvious circle that you're drawing on the floor around you. And then imagining your shoulder blade on your back like a wing that spans out, reaches overhead. Being mindful of your breath. Are there any areas in the movement of your breath where you're maybe holding the breath? If you identify spaces where there's a pause or a hold in your breath, ask those spaces to become smaller and smaller every time you cycle around with your breath. Eventually experiencing one continuous, uninterrupted wheel of breath, just like the wheel in your shoulder. Whenever you feel ready in your circle, you can pause and move in the opposite direction if you haven't already. Feel free to slow down in the areas where you have greater sensation. And beginning to identify the area where you might want to just kind of pause and hang out and breathe for a bit. And finding that pause if you haven't yet. When you feel that you're ready, you'll stretch out of your top arm and leg again, your left leg and left arm. This time we're going to flip onto our stomach, coming to lie face down, stacking the hands under the head, lengthening the legs out really long. And again, just noticing how we feel. How do we relate to the floor? And we're going to gently start rolling our head from side to side, massaging our third eye center, offering our eyebrows a massage with the knuckles in our hands. If you find any tender spots on your forehead, feel free to pause on them, roll back and forth on them and breathe. Relax your jaw. And the next time that you come to your center, go ahead and pause in the center and inhale. Exhale in, gently pressing your pelvis into the mat, your shoulders rolling wide, lifting your head up for a moment. And just pause for a second and notice if you feel like you're trying to lift up, or are you trying to press down? Or is it not clear? And then slowly return back to the mat and inhale. Exhaling again, press your pelvis and ribs down into the mat first. Only come up as high as it feels like you're pushing down more than you are trying to get up. And then again, release back down. Last time, inhale while you're on the mat. Exhale, press down through your pelvis and your lower ribs and floating up. Keep the back of your neck long, which means you are looking at your mat rather than looking forward. You're looking at your mat. You can close your eyes, relax your forehead, relax your eyebrows. Open your hands out to a T, fingertips on the mat, and breathe. And if it feels like a lot of effort, put your forearms down on the mat. Find the way to have a wide chest, long legs, pressure through the front of your pelvis and abdomen into the mat that allows you to hold and support. If your neck or shoulders get tired, look up a little bit more maybe, or look down a little bit more. Be curious with figuring out, what do I have to do to find more endurance here so that I can anchor down through the front of my pelvis and stay up through my head, shoulders, and neck. As you feel ready, return back to the mat. Bring your hands back underneath your forehead. Bend your knees, bringing your heels towards your glutes, and roll your head and feet from side to side this time. As you feel ready, find your center, lengthen your legs out. We're going to take our left leg out to the side a little bit, and then turn the left knee out, and you start walking your left knee up the mat like you want to draw a number 4. You might have to roll onto the right side of your body to get your left leg up there so that you're on the inner edge of your left knee. And then you let your trunk move towards the mat. And again, you don't want to force it. Be very gentle. If it feels very tight through your groin or your lower back, you can take a pillow or a rolled up towel and slide it between your groin and the mat so that your nervous system feels cradled. It feels like it's got something to release into. And we're just going to hold this shape and take a few slow breaths while we're here. And every time that you exhale, again, become curious and notice what parts of my body are willing to let go a little bit further. And just take a moment to say, I'm so grateful that I can be comfortable, lie on the floor, really allow yourself to acknowledge the peace, the safety, the comfort, and on your following inhale, when you feel that you're ready, your left foot will slide down towards your right foot, returning you onto your stomach and into your center again. And just take a pause and notice, is one side now again longer than the other? And sometimes you can literally bring your feet together and notice that one foot's longer than the other. It's kind of mind-blowing. And then as you feel ready, you can roll on to your left side now. Slide your right knee up. Notice how far it comes up. And yet you're still able to remain comfortable in your left hip and groin. And again, you're not trying to keep or create any specific shape. You just want to find the angle where you can bring your hip up a little bit and let your chest energetically fall towards the mat. And then again, we breathe slowly and fully. As you breathe in slowly and fully, notice what areas of your body you feel expanding. And as you exhale, notice where your body is willing to let go a little further. On one of your following inhales, gently glide your right foot down next to your left foot, returning to your center. Balancing yourself out again, lying flat. And now noticing if you're more balanced, is the other side now longer? That can happen, and it's okay if it does. And as we inhale, we're going to glide our shoulders up to our ears. And then lift our head to press the back of our head into our shoulders. Slowly bring your head and shoulders down to release and inhale. As you feel ready again, glide your shoulders up first, shoulder blades up, then the head comes up, and it's like the back of the neck is hugging itself, and then the head and the shoulders release. We'll do that one more time. Shoulders glide up, the head floats, and the shoulders and the neck hug, and then the head and the shoulders release back down. Once you're down, roll your neck from side to side, like it's a coconut that falls off of a palm tree and it rolls away, ironing out the forehead. And then as you're ready, finding the center, inhaling, exhaling, press your pelvis into the mat to lift your head and shoulders up. Slide your hands next to your chest, push down into your hands and knees to come up and fold back into child's pose. And if child's pose is not comfortable for you, lie on your side and cradle yourself instead. So you can do a sideline child's pose. And just notice how you feel here, how you fold into yourself. And on the following inhale, we'll all come to meet up on our hands and knees, coming up onto our hands and knees. Big open palms, knees kind of close to each other so that they're really supporting the pelvis. And we're just going to press back towards our feet, only go as far as it feels appropriate for the knees and feet, and then gently glide forward back onto the hands. Just rocking back and forth here. And notice your breath. When are you inhaling? When are you exhaling? First, observe the pattern, and then make it deliberate by getting involved with it, so that it feels like there's purpose behind it, like you're doing it on purpose. And as you press back towards child's pose, in your mind's voice, you'll say thank. And as you glide forward to your hands, you'll say you. And you'll let your breath and the sound of thank you again synchronize, become harmonious with the movement. The next time that you come forward into you on your hands, pause there, tuck your toes under, and then sit back to stretch the toes out. And sometimes the toes might be sticky, where they don't really want to fold that way. So you can take your hand back there, touch them, just touching them kind of says, hey guys, it's with you, as we would say in Spanish, es contigo, I'm talking to you. Get them to move, to feel, and then we're just gonna gently press into them like we want to rock into the toes, feeling the big toes. And this is an area where we've got a lot of use, a lot of miles, a lot of kilometers of life, of stories, of paths that we've walked. So it's normal to have a lot of sensation, a lot of stories in there. Be gentle, but see yourself, see your toes, see what you feel. Try and relax your shoulders, try and relax your face. Despite whatever you might feel, try and release around it. We may not be able to eliminate the resistance right away, but we can see the resistance and soften our attitude around it. Soften our hearts. And then when you feel ready, you'll tuck your toes back on the mat, sitting back towards them as far as you can go. Be gentle if the knees don't want to go that far. And then we'll make our way up and onto our seat, coming into a comfortable seated position. And if that means you need to get some pillows or even a stool, a chair, go for it. So that you feel satisfied in your seat and not stuck in your seat. And then once you're there, and if you want to get a chair, no worries. We're going to start rocking back and forth in our pelvis here. And this often is also the moment you might notice, oh wait, I do need something because I don't have a lot of space to move in my pelvis. And just rocking back and forth, and notice how you can tilt behind your sitting bones and feel like you want to round out your lower back. Then you rise up and then you tilt forward of your sits bones, like we're spilling the contents of the abdominals forward, and then we're rolling them back in. We're just going to allow our pelvis to rock back and forth that way. You're welcome to close your eyes and release your jaw. Let your head dance on your neck. And I've mentioned before this idea, this image. Our trunk is like two pyramids. The crown of the head is a pyramid facing, or a cone. We think of like a round pyramid up towards the sky, and our pelvis is a rounded pyramid down to the earth. And in between, it's a cylinder. Relax your jaw, anatomically, almost thinking of like the jawbone, or where the crown, the head, the cranium sits on the neck and into the jaw. being like a mirror image of the pubic bone and the sacrum, like where we have those moving parts below, we also have some moving parts above. Let it dance. There's no right or wrong way for it to release and move. And then we'll start drawing a bit of a circle where the pelvis starts to circle around. Close your eyes so that you're guided by your inner awareness. There's nothing to look at. Let the sensation guide where you go. Every now and then you might want to reverse the direction of the circle. Are there moments and places where your breath changes? Does your head want to start guiding and leading? If it does, notice it and then bring it back down into your pelvis, guiding the way. And letting the head follow and dance above. Relax the jaw. And gently centering and falling into where you feel center, where the crown is balanced over the tail. And just take a moment and become aware of the sounds that you pick up around you. How many different sounds do you hear? Choose one sound and allow all of your attention to focus into that one sound. As you exhale, let your attention come back down and into your heart center, into your chest, and you'll place your hands over your heart. Feel your heartbeat. Notice if you can start to hear your heartbeat. And then you'll take your dominant hand, the hand that you write with, into your opposing armpit. Yeah, so if you write with your right hand, you're going to take your right hand and just kind of cup the armpit. And then your non-dominant hand will sit on your dominant shoulder, on the top, on the side. Again, the way that feels the best for you. Allow your head to bow into yourself, relax your abdomen and your spine, And just feel your breath under your arms. And as you inhale and the sound of your inner voice, say thank. And as you exhale, you. Speaking to yourself. Inhaling thank. Exhaling you. You're doing such a good job. Knowing that you put everything that you can into everything you do. Thanking yourself, knowing that you are enough. And then as you feel ready, allowing your arms to just come down. And in the same way that we can open and focus to hear all the things that surround us, and then we can choose to focus in on one particular thing, we're going to choose to focus in on the energy of gratitude, graciousness, grace, being graced with blessings. What does grace look like? How does grace show up in your life? And as you feel ready, you'll reach over and grab your journal. And we're going to write a rant. No one will read it. You might not even ever read it again. Put the critic away. And just allow yourself to start a stream of consciousness and a gratitude rant. It's like we're drawing a focus wheel, and in the center of our wheel is the energy, the consciousness of grace. Just allow yourself to go. And as you feel ready, keep going if you're still going on your rant. You can take a moment when you're ready to reflect and notice when we choose to move into a state of gratitude, of graciousness, what are we allowing into our lives? And it might be very specific what you're allowing into your life. It might be very general. There's no right way to do it. Just notice. Notice what you're allowing in. And from that awareness, you can make the commitment to yourself to have very strong boundaries so that you are only and exclusively allowing these things into your reality. And when a critical mass makes that commitment to themselves, to decide to choose to exclusively allow only those things, people, thoughts, and places, information, music, culture that aligns with their freedom, that aligns with their grace, that's when we'll start to see things change on the outside. So our privilege really is our ability to choose. So what are we choosing to allow in? What are we choosing to create together? And when you feel ready and done, and this is an exercise that can stay with you till the end of the year, into the entire year, you can have a daily journal of gratitude rants to keep bringing yourself into alignment with that center that is all giving. Yeah, if we look at nature, there's no rush, there's no garbage, there's no waste, there's no lack of balance. That is the center. That is what we can choose to align with. And the more we keep bringing ourselves back into that awareness, back into that choice, again, the more that we will affect change externally. And so as you look at what you just did right now, you can keep it, you can fold it up and bury it and feel that you're planting the energy of this in your home, in a plant, in your garden, in your neighborhood. Maybe you can plant it in a public place to expand the energy for all of your neighbors. You can get creative and curious in what you're going to do with your rants of gratitude. And it is really my wish and my prayer that we can all keep reminding and inspiring each other to stay in this frequency. Because again, as a critical mass awakens into the frequency of gratitude and kindness, we're going to usher in a new way. It's the only way that it will happen. And it's happening if we choose that it is what is happening. So thank you all so much. It's always an honor and a privilege to get to share. And yeah, my love and my gratitude for all of you and your families and all of the work that you do in your communities. And I look forward to being a little more in touch as we move into the end of this year and the beginning of the new year. Namaste.